Hey guys, how's it going? So it seems like we got some really interesting news today. And this is honestly something that I've been wondering for a while now. When is this really going to happen? Because we need a docu-series on George Lucas. Not just, how he made Star Wars, sure, but there were so many other projects that he was involved in. And really, he pioneered so much with the visual effects industry, which changed the world for how we see movies to this day. If it wasn't for George, things wouldn't be as revolutionized and as fast as they are. So Lawrence Kasdan, who if you didn't know, is the co-writer of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi with George Lucas, the screenplay, not the story. And he is going to be directing a 6-part mini docu-series on George Lucas and Industrial Light and Magic. Now, Industrial Light and Magic is an amazing company. They're actually the company that I wanted to work for as a kid. They were the first, like kids wanted to be astronauts and all that. I wanted to be too later on when I got a little older, but my first job that I really wanted was to work for ILM and make lightsabers in movies and games. And they work on so much more than just Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Marvel movies, and so on. So this story comes from Collider, and there were a lot of different articles covering this right now. With such a storied history, fans have always wanted to peek behind the curtain of Lucasfilm, whether it be simply a look behind the scenes of the company or a deep dive of the process of creating a specific work. It's no wonder there have been a number of documentaries made involving George Lucas, his films, and his company. Now, it seems that another one is on the way as a multi-episode documentary about George Lucas, as well as the revolutionary visual effects company he founded, Industrial Light and Magic. According to composer James Newton Howard, his friend and a longtime contributor at Lucasfilm, Lawrence Kasdan, a man who is a credited writer on some of the studio's biggest films, such as The Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, and Solo, will be directing a 6-episode docuseries on Lucas and ILM. This was revealed on the Score podcast, where Howard said that he had just finished scoring the documentary. Howard also revealed that he might be involved with the upcoming Disney Plus sequel to Lucasfilm's 1988 film Willow, which will be overseen by John Kasdan, the son of Lawrence. So this is pretty awesome. Not only are just the hardcore fans going to know about George's legacy, but also more of the regular fans, mainstream, casual fans, like all of them, now going to be able to see the struggle and the amount of creativity that George put into creating Star Wars and creating so many more movies. George was really, in the beginning, he wasn't some huge Hollywood producer. And if you haven't seen an interview on YouTube with George, it's very easy to find. He's talking about how he doesn't actually like Hollywood all that much. George is an independent guy. He's an independent movie maker, and he's got some real cojones, and I really respect him for just not giving a crap about what Hollywood thinks of his films and not needing anybody to essentially tell him what to do and not wanting anyone to tell him what to do with his story and his movies. To later go on to create Lucasfilm and to fund everything himself, the prequels basically, tells you a lot about the guy. He was just a regular man trying to find his way in the universe. He started with THX 1138, then he went to American Graffiti, and then he made Star Wars. And Star Wars wasn't supposed to become this big thing. It was just supposed to be another movie, and he was going to go on and do other stuff after that. But it turned into his life because it became so freaking huge and successful. And it literally shaped the world, it changed the world, and it changed so many people's lives, including mine, and you guys watching this. So, George has done a lot, not only just supplying jobs to countless people, but also giving creativity, entertainment, escape, and enjoyment, and magic to so many people and kids out there. So it makes me wonder if George is actually going to be involved in this docuseries or not. We all know that he's not too fond of really having anything to do with Star Wars anymore after he sold it to Disney, but I think he's going to be involved in this docuseries now. Maybe they'll cover, footage of his earlier life up until maybe the sale of Lucasfilm, or maybe a little bit after. And then in the end, at the end of the docuseries, we could get him possibly sitting down for a full episode and just talking about everything, about his life, about stuff he wants to talk about. Maybe even the sale of Lucasfilm, maybe even where he thinks Star Wars is headed now and what his thoughts are on it and what he was going to do, what he wanted to do. Maybe we're going to get answers to some questions that we're really curious about. Either way, I'm very, very anxious to see this series. I'm really looking forward to it. I'd love to do a watch party on the channel with you guys and really dive into this and learn more about my hero. So I'm going to read a little bit more. For those of you who don't know, ILM was acquired by Disney when their parent company, Lucasfilm, was purchased back in 2012. With such a long and reaching involvement in some of the biggest series and blockbusters for the last 50 years, a multi-part, in-depth look at the studio's history will be very interesting to see. They say the documentary does not have a release date as of yet and does not have a means of distribution. So I don't know if this is even going to show up on Disney Plus. While Disney and Lucasfilm are not confirmed to be involved with this production, oh wow, it is fair to expect that it might end up on Disney Plus with the rest of the projects coming from the topic of the series. Huh. Could you imagine it just like ends up on like a different streaming service or like a website and you gotta like sign in for membership? That'd be crazy. I could see that happening, but you know what? He'll probably just sell it to Disney and they'll just put it on Disney Plus. But George is a smart guy. They might rope him into some whole bunch of like deals or cuts or something like that, and I don't really see him being down for that. Or Lawrence Kasdan, who's actually going to be directing this whole thing. So, and of course everyone else behind it. But at the end of the day, this is about George, so I'm pretty sure he has a certain amount of say regarding where this goes. If it goes on Disney Plus, that'll be great. Then we can all watch it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up on like Amazon Prime or, some other company trying to get this because it's going to be a big sell. A lot of people are going to be tuning in and streaming this for sure. So something else I'd love to see from this is George's point of view of all of the backlash that he got from the prequels. It was absolutely terrible the way they treated him for the prequels, and I wonder if that had anything to do with selling it in the end and kind of being done with it. I know he says that it didn't have anything to do with it. He was just getting too old, and he felt like if he does another, trilogy, for 7, 8, 9, then it's just going to take too much of his life, and he wanted to spend more of his life on his family and just kind of, chilling out a little bit. But then we know, he was pretty upset with how Disney turned his treatment down and went on to do their own thing, and he seemed a little bit jaded by that, not really too happy, and I would be too. So I would love to see his point of view on everything. I'm wondering what kind of questions they will ask him in the end, or if we'll even get any questions, or if it's just going to be like a telling of tales kind of thing, like a rise to stardom, so to speak, a rise to success, and how he really changed the world with everything that he did. So I'm a fan. I'm going to be watching it for sure wherever it drops, and hope you guys will be too. So I'll update you guys more on this as we get new information, and you can best be sure that we'll be doing a watch party eventually once it does drop. Probably like, I don't even know if it'll drop all at once, but we'll see. Anyways, catch you guys later. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.